sunglasses shaped of heart. So
Yeah, so Sacre.x began a long time ago. I think it began around 2013 or 2012 or something, back in Peru when I was living in Peru. I was very interested in trying to blend the kind of like the different styles of music that I was listening to at the time. Abstract music, abstract experimental ambient music, and other stuff that I was getting into that time. More things that I grew up with that were like pop music and stuff like that. It ended up becoming Sacre.x when I moved here to Berlin, and I was trying to consolidate the project even more. Yeah, at the moment I was starting to get quite into experimental music. I was reading a book about contemporary academic music and all the composers of the 50s, the avant-garde of the 50s, because there were basically in the 20th century, people state that there were two avant-gardes in contemporary academic music. They were all kind of like pioneering a lot in orchestral music and doing different stuff, and they started listening to the radio. And when they listened to the radio, what they started listening was "A Day in a Life" by the Beatles. And you know that song? It's kind of like it has a pop structure, but all of a sudden it starts becoming like orchestrally weird. And all of them were jaw dropped because they were like, "What the hell is happening here? This is exactly what we're doing in our orchestral pieces, but they're doing it in a pop." And I was very interested by that, and I was like, "Wow, it's like." It's kind of like a bridge between these two worlds. Pop music with kind of a noisy, very noisy aspects, like stuff of like early Velvet Underground, stuff like that, or Jesus and Mary Chain. It's been like a very integral part of my life. My mom has been playing music all the time. It's like we had a very musical upbringing. Playing music in the car that we had. We used to have like an old Hyundai Accent kind of white car or something, and it had a cassette player, and we would play always. We would always play cassettes, and I would remember we had CDs. Like the only place where we listened to cassettes was in the car, because at home we had a CD player, and we were playing CDs. And the way we would find music and would experience music was like buying CDs. But then there would be a process of also, okay, we want to listen to this music that we have in CDs in the car. So what do is we would get a selection of songs, and then we would put that in a cassette. We would record it on a cassette and then play that. And it would be interesting to see like what things that we would like to hear in that. I remember that with my brother, we made like some selections of cassettes to listen to, and of music. I don't know, the stuff that we listened to at the time. A lot of like MTV stuff. I remember a lot like listening to the three movements of the Moonlight Sonata of Beethoven. I really liked that. That was really nice. I remember also that like my mom used to play that on the piano, the first movement, not the other ones. So that was also like quite a probably another reason why I got into that. I would think it would have to be something very acidic and at the same time sweet. Apple, maybe, or lemon. I don't know. What do you think? Right now, I would say Mozart's Requiem. I think it has enough layers to it that you could like spend quite a bit of time in that. Being a solo artist has its challenges for sure. It has its pros and it has its cons. I remember that I used to have a band when I was younger. I was 18 or something. I had a like indie rock band, indie psychedelic rock band. Then I went solo, and the good thing about solo is that like you can rehearse whenever you want. You can do a lot of free stuff, but then you don't have the dialogue, and that's a cool thing, part of playing with other people, having a dialogue in which your ideas are then reinterpreted by another one, and they're given back to you in another way, and then you kind of like get that idea and then put back something else, and then like it's kind of a loop that it's not just yourself. So that's quite cool and interesting, and that's something you don't get when you're playing solo. Also, there's this idea that when you're playing solo, it's easy to postpone the stuff that you need to do when you're solo, and that's not necessarily a good thing sometimes. I've heard this before. I've heard this of other people. Learned this also from John Cage. Music is not about sound necessarily. It's about listening. And I think that's the biggest advice for music making that you can possibly think. Once you start doing that, like everything changes. That's a very good question. All my life, I've known that I've wanted to do music, and it's been like a very intense driving force in me. But I've had always a lot, very deep and very big interest for a lot of other things. So, for example, before going to music, I actually was thinking of going to visual arts to study painting, like something like that. So I've always had like also very like visual imagination, so to speak. And in a way, for example, I've been also very attracted to the Wagnerian dream of the total work of art. There are certain symbols, there are certain themes that go on through my that are being expressed in my in my work. I don't precisely know fully what they mean or what they are. I just want to be able to channel my fantasies and the contents of my fantasy world as much as I possibly can. I pay a lot of attention to my dreams, for example, and many of the things that that come up in my works, it's trying to live up and bring to life this surreal type of landscape that I have inside of me and try to convey it to the audience in some way. I've had a big break change in the last few years or so regarding also the medium, because like before I was doing a lot of music with gear. I was even playing guitar and like some like synthesizers, and then I transitioned towards doing everything with more programming languages and stuff like that. That was a big change for me because like it brought up a whole new set of possibilities. It was a lot of learning too, but like it was a lot of a whole new set of possibilities that I started exploring. I've been studying here at the UDK with Alberto de Campo, who's like a big name in the Super Collider thing, and I kind of like got into that through him. I wasn't really interested in getting deeper into computer music because like the thing is that once you get gear and electronic stuff and everything, but if you actually know how to use a computer, but know like in depth how to use it, there's so much possibilities in it. So I really wanted to do that, and I wanted to study that. So like I ended up being able to come to study at UDK with Alberto, and he was using Super Collider. So like I ended up using that. But it's basically a text-based programming software and language for doing music and sound. You have a complete like electronic music studio in your laptop. Complete. From the beginning, I had a very like visual oriented aspect. And also it's just that idea that I can actually like merge different symbols and use different layers of images to like convey more information and more like symbolic data. But for example, I remember the first EP I released, it was in 2013. I remember that I was doing a very ambient set, and I wanted to, in that moment when I was going to present this EP for the first time, I had thought, oh my God, I want this to have visuals and to be like really like ethereal and look very cool and everything. But I didn't know how to do anything. So I was like, and I was thinking, it's like, I want it to look very cool, but I don't know how to do it. And what I figured out in that moment, it was like, maybe if I take the complete opposite route, it will make it good. So what I did is like, instead of doing visuals, I gave out something to cover the eyes. So everyone was like with eyes closed during the whole performance. It wasn't very long, but it was that. And then I was like, oh, so this can be cool, because like then everyone creates their own visuals in a way. I am still going through the stuff, organizing the stuff to play it, but it might be that I might recover some old songs that I had some time ago that I haven't played in a while from my first LP that I released like 2019 I think, or 2020. I think I'm not sure right now what I will do, but like it might be like a mixture of trying to use like part of the tracks and some other layers, new layers that recontextualize in another way or something. That might be cool.